Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Ben Oliveri. Thanks for joining me and for taking a little time out of your day to practice. Today we're going to do a 15-minute crow pose tutorial. So crow pose is kind of the foundational arm balance, the building block that you can use to sort of build into more advanced arm balances. So we're going to focus on just the muscles that you want to have engaged and the actions of those muscles specifically. We'll do some preparatory poses and then we will give it a try at the end. I have a block. You might not need it, but if you do have a block at home, definitely grab it, or a book or something like that. So there's a few actions in crow pose that you want to focus on. Number one is the separating of the shoulder blades by pressing the mat away. And number two is the squeeze of the inner thighs together to hug in the midline, and then the engagement of the core. So within our preparatory poses, leading up until crow, we'll work on those few things. To start, you can come to all fours. And as you come to all fours, you want your pointer fingers facing straight ahead towards 12 o'clock. And then when you ground your hands, there's a tendency to have more weight towards the pinky and ring finger. But see if you can press down, really focus on pressing down through the thumb and the pointer finger. From there, go ahead and round your back, coming into cat pose. Take a handful of breaths here. So feel the action of pressing the mat away firmly so that the shoulder blades separate and the back is rounded. And again, press down through the thumb and the pointer fingers just as much, as if not more, than you are through the pinky, ring, and middle fingers. Take a few breaths here, separating the shoulder blades as much as you can. Come through neutral, and then come through cow pose. So arch the back, now pull the shoulder blades together, lift the bum, keep that action, and walk the hands out into puppy pose. Keep the fingertips down and melt the heart, just to stretch out the shoulders a little bit here. Good, then walk the hands back in to center. Still in tabletop. Step your right foot forward outside your right hand. Come to the palms. Even if you can come to the forearms, stay on the hands for today. I want you to focus on pressing the right knee into the right shoulder. And then with that right shoulder, you're resisting that right knee, press it away. So right knee into right shoulder, and also right shoulder into right knee. So you can feel that engagement of the inner seam of the right leg, and you're still pressing the mat away firmly like you're doing cat. 2 breaths here. Good, go ahead, step back through tabletop. Left foot forward, it's outside your right hand, stay on the palms. Squeeze the left knee into the left shoulder, and then left shoulder presses into the left knee, so they're sort of resisting each other. And feel how when you do that, you can feel the engagement of the inner seam of the legs, of that left leg. Press the mat away, take 2 breaths. Tabletop. Walk the hands forward, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. If this is your first down dog of the day, maybe take a little pedal of the feet. And come through a neutral down dog, press the heels towards the earth, doesn't matter if they get there or not. Press the mat forward with your hands so your chest tracks towards your thighs. Take 2 deep breaths. After that second breath, sweep your right leg up high, 3-legged down dog. Continue to press the mat away so the chest tracks towards the thigh. Bend the knee so the heel comes towards your glute. Roll the hip open into a twist. Try to lift the knee a little bit higher from the hip and the foot a little bit further to the left. Then square off your hips, flex the right toes. Bring your right knee to your right tricep or as high as you can get it. So try not to let the torso dip here. Press the mat away firmly. Squeeze the knee into the upper arm just like we did in lizard. So this is a really important action in crow. Pressing the mat down so your hips can lift up, knee to tricep. Come back through down dog. We'll find the other side, left leg high. Heel towards the glute. Roll the hip open into a twist. Press down equally through your left hand and your right hand. And again, try to focus on pressing down through the thumb and the pointer fingers. Square off the hips, left toes are flexed. Left knee, left tricep, or as high as you can get it. Press the mat away from you, round the back like you're doing cat. Take 2 deep breaths. All fours, little child's pose, sink the hips back, rest the head down. Take 5 deep breaths here. Walk the hands out a tiny bit further than you're used to stretch out the shoulders. Rest the head down. After your 5th breath, go ahead and come up and shift into a yogi squat. So feet are about hip width apart. Bring the arms as far down the knees as you can, and then keep them there, lift the chest. So it's that same engagement. Press the knees into the upper arms. So they're in like that. And then with the upper arms, press the knees away. Lift the chest up. Take a few breaths. Good. Then go ahead and lower down all the way to a seat. Bring your hands in front of your hamstrings. Lift the chest up. And then lift the shins up to come into boat pose. Reach the arms forward. Keep the gaze soft. Chest is lifted. Little squeeze of the inner thighs together. Take 5 deep breaths here. Feel the engagement of the core. You could come into full boat if you'd like this. You see my back rounds a ton when I do that, so if it's the same for you, it's better to just come into this boat with the knees bent. 2 more breaths. Good. Soles of the feet down. This time come all the way down onto your back. And then bring the soles of the feet to touch. If they don't touch, it's fine, just close-ish together. Hold on to the outer ankles. So we'll come into reclined Bakasana, reclined crow pose. So soles of the feet together are close to it. Knees are wide. So it's kind of like you're doing reclined butterfly, but your feet are in the air. Bring the palms to the sky. So flex the wrists like you were planting them on the ceiling. From here, lift the upper back and head off the ground. Bring the knees to the upper arms, and just like we've been doing, squeeze the knees into the arms. Arms resist that and press the knees away. Trying to lift as much of your upper back off the ground as you can. Take 3 deep breaths. Good. Lower down. Hug the knees into the chest. Maybe take a rock from side to side to balance out that core work. And then soles of the feet down. So we'll do that one more time before we try crow. This is a really great preparatory pose for crow because your body is doing the same exact actions as you'll do when you do the actual pose. You're just on your back. So soles of the feet together, hold the outer ankles. Palms towards the sky. Lift the upper back, neck, and head. Try to get the arms to the inner knees, inner thighs, and then squeeze the knees and thighs into the arms. Resist that with the arms. Press the thighs away. Palms are going towards the sky like you were planting them on the earth. Maybe lift the upper back a little bit more. Take 2 breaths. Release, hug the knees into the chest, rock side to side. Rock up and down the length of your spine until you come up. And we'll give crow pose a try. So, if you have a block and you're newer to crow, definitely a good idea to use it. Even if you practice crow, if you have it in your practice already, just try to follow along with me so that you can really get the technique down. So if you are using a block, basically the idea of using the block here is to elevate the hips. Our hips are very heavy muscles, and we're trying to tip forward to come into crow pose. So the block just gives you a little more lift in those hips. So if you are using the block, you'll come to it. Bring the big toes to touch. If you're not using the block, you just do this from the earth. So big toes touch. Bring your palms down. So before we come into it, I want you to focus on 2 things. Pressing the mat away and separating your shoulder blades, just like we did in cat pose and the knee to tricep thing. And then squeezing the knees into the arms, arms into the knees. Those are the 2 things to focus on. So palms down, again, fingers point towards 12 o'clock, ground down through the thumbs and the pointer fingers. First step is to lift the hips as high as you can. From there, squeeze the knees into the upper arms, arms into the knees. And then instead of thinking about like jumping into it, you want to tip your weight forward. Once the shoulders are over the wrists, lift 1 foot. Bring it back down. Lift the other foot, bring it back down. So if that's all you're doing for today, that's awesome. That's a great start for crow pose. If you start to tip your weight forward as you squeeze the knees into the arms and you lift 1 foot and you feel like maybe I could lift the other one, go for it. Press the mat away. Gaze is right down underneath your face. As you're ready, come on down. Shake out the wrists. Maybe take some wrist circles. And we'll give that one more shot. I'm gonna not use the block this time, but if it's helpful for you, by all means use it. So big toes together, palms come down. Ground down through the thumbs and the pointer fingers. Get the hips as high as you can. Squeeze the knees into the arms. Start to rock forward. Lift one foot, maybe the other. Again, if you're just working on lifting one at a time, that's a great start. If you're here, find a deep breath. And go ahead and lower down. Shake out the wrists. Interlace the fingers. Stretch the palms forward, shoulders soft away from the ears. And then palms to the sky. Continue to drop the shoulders away from the ears. Find a little wrist stretch here. Alrighty. Drop the hands down. Hopefully this was helpful for you to get into crow pose. Let me know in the comments how you liked it and if there's any arm balances that you'd want to see in the future. Thank you so much. Namaste.